Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and I have been absolutely loving Animal Crossing New Horizons. In fact, I might even go so far as to say, in terms of innovation for its respective franchise, it may be the greatest game Nintendo has ever made. However, that came with a heavy caveat, and that was Nintendo had to fall very far from grace before they managed to get back on their feet spectacularly. I am talking about none other than a game that I'm actually shuddering just to show footage of. I am so disgraced by this game, and that is none other than Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, which released for the Wii U in 2015, which was also the same year as Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer. And whereas that game was relatively unpopular with a few supporters, I can't really think of anyone that liked Amiibo Festival, let alone even decently enjoyed it. Sure, there are people that defend parts of it, but I can't think of anyone in their right mind that says, "Yeah, Amiibo Festival, this game is awesome and underrated." It just doesn't happen. So, what started me on watching this video was actually a twofold response. The first was that my 4-year anniversary of reviewing video games is actually coming up pretty soon. And I wanted to do something really special, like a list of sorts. And I got to thinking, I'd really love to talk about some of the worst games I've ever reviewed. But then I realized that would be kind of boring, because I've reviewed a lot of bland, terrible eShop games. So then I thought, what about Nintendo games? Because some people have accused me of potentially being a Nintendo apologist, but I realize they make mistakes, sometimes even bigger ones than the other companies. So, what am I getting on after 2 minutes of blabbing, you're asking? Not only do I think is Amiibo Festival by far the worst game in this series, but I might go so far as to say it's the worst game Nintendo's ever published. Possibly the worst Wii U game in existence. This game is so bad that I literally had to correct myself in the title of the video to say that it was a review instead of just a rant. That is saying something, especially if you've seen the shovelware I have played on the Wii U. So, I have a couple of notes to make sure I don't get ahead of myself in my anger. Normally I don't like scripting these kind of reviews, but I figured that a semi-scripted approach was probably best so that I at least sound like I'm making a modicum of sense and that I actually thought this out a little bit as opposed to just letting my emotions run wild. So, first of all, this is an absolute mockery to the name of Animal Crossing. The series has always been sort of a life sim of sorts, sort of an escape from reality. Amiibo Festival doesn't really feel like an escape from anything. In fact, it actually feels more of a chore to play it than to do regular life. You have to have an Animal Crossing Amiibo, not just any Amiibo, an Animal Crossing Amiibo that was designed specifically for this game just to be able to play it. You can't even get past the title screen unless you have one of those. And back when this was first released, well, they were bundled with the game at first, but Nintendo quickly realized that this was a financial disaster and the price dropped dramatically. We're talking going from a full $60 all the way down to maybe like $5 when the Wii was still alive. Nowadays, you could probably get it for like $2. You've got bins in the shops overflowing with Animal Crossing amiibos. In fact, I have every single one of them. And I think I probably paid less than $20 altogether for all of them. They honestly don't even do that much with the amiibos either. It's really just a gimmick because as if the Wii U gamepad wasn't gimmicky enough, you have to use the amiibo for pretty much everything. Like, there's not really even too many instances where you can just use the control stick and buttons on the gamepad. You have to use the amiibo to roll the dice. Now, if that's not unintuitive, I don't know what is. If you thought the Wii was crazy with its ridiculous control mechanisms, I think you officially have never played Amiibo Festival. So not only is Nintendo demanding a really terrible paywall, at least when it first came out, thankfully they cut that price, but it also makes a mockery of the Animal Crossing game it could have been. See, Amiibo Festival has a lot of promise in its writing, which is one of the few things you could legitimately defend about it. The problem is that you're seeing it from an external perspective when this would have been a wonderful game to, play. On the GameCube, you could do all of this stuff. Okay, it's mostly based on New Leaf's gameplay, but you get what I'm saying. This has been Animal Crossing staples that you're forced to watch from the sidelines while you're stuck playing the board game. It's sort of like you're getting the worst end of the deal here. And that's just sad. Because I feel like Nintendo's saying, hey guys, you want an Animal Crossing game on the Wii U? Too bad! You're getting this instead. I just. And this got away with getting a world premiere at, I think it was E3. Well, I don't even care whether I'm getting my facts right or not. That's just embarrassing that it deserved world premiere for anything. It should have been tucked away in a Nintendo Direct and given a couple of paragraphs of talk. Heck, I honestly wish this game hadn't come out at all, but that's another thing. It doesn't really add anything to the core Animal Crossing formula, and although one could argue, but Paul, its island survival minigame was cool, Animal Crossing didn't invent that. That was Settlers of Catan years before the Wii U was even thought of. So essentially they just ripped off a popular board game because they had to have something to sell it. While there are mini games that you can play in Amiibo Festival, you have to play the main board game at least twice to unlock them. And then even after you do that, then you need special Amiibo cards, which are not the same as the Amiibo figures. So Nintendo is asking more money just to get to the parts of the game that are actually okay. So you're supposed to buy the game, which is not that good. Then you're supposed to buy the amiibos to be able to play the game that's not that good. Then you're supposed to buy cards to play the part of the game that's better than the part that you're paying for to get into the game in the first place. Does anyone see the problem here? Or is it just me? I feel like even if you use the argument, well, Amiibo Festival was made for children, so therefore it's gotta be super easy to figure out. Okay, that is really insulting to children. When I was the appropriate age to play this, I probably would have found this dull and boring because I would have wanted something that would, test me to some degree. Instead, Amiibo Festival is like about 99% luck, while every now and then you have bits of strategy here and there. It's kind of useless to have these cool moments when the actual board game is so dull you wish you weren't playing it at all. Now, before you say, well, Paul, why are you ballyhooing about this? It seems like you haven't had first-hand experience. Oh, I have. I bought this game dirt cheap because I wanted to see if maybe the critics were exaggerating. Maybe this game wasn't that bad. The critics always get things wrong. They said Gone Home was a masterpiece of game design, and that game was boring as heck. But I hate to admit it, the critics were not only right, but I feel like this is one of those instances where even IGN can't be made fun of. This game is just such an abomination. And I think Nintendo recognized it because pretty much immediately after Amiibo Festival came out, they had the Animal Crossing New Leaf Direct. Mind you, New Leaf came out in 2013, so a whopping 3 years later, which by Nintendo standards is a very long time, was when they released the free update. Not only was it an update, it was a substantial update. Pretty much, they had to re-release New Leaf as an entire standalone game card called New Leaf Welcome Amiibo. Yeah, they actually had to put Amiibo in the title so that the game actually felt like it was worth it to have Amiibo, but it wasn't required. So not only was Nintendo quickly trying to say, no, 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 Amiibo Festival never happened, they also used the very Amiibos that Amiibo Festival was designed for. Oh, did I not tell you that I looked up why does this game exist? Because it is so bad. And the director literally said the reason they created the game was because they wanted to sell the Amiibos. If that's not one of the dumbest reasons for making a video game in history, I dare you to come up with something better than that. because that just cracks me up that anyone could be so dense and just not knowing their audience. So I know that New Horizons was really good on the sales chart, but that's probably because of the timing. I think a lot of people that could have been fans of it may have been turned off by this game, all things considered. I would not be surprised in the slightest if they said, okay, this came out the same year as Happy Home Designer. What is Nintendo thinking? They're alienating their fan bases. Not only that, but this was around the time that other shovelware games like Ultra Smash and Federation Force came out. I did not play Federation Force. I did play Ultra Smash. That was fun in short bursts, but that's about the best thing I can say. This I played through quite a bit, and at first I just thought it was dull. Then I started thinking more and I realized this is an insult. This is embarrassing. What am I doing even talking about this? Ugh. I can't believe Nintendo existed in a time like this. Well, at least the future for Animal Crossing is looking bright. We have a brand new game on the Switch that looks and plays gorgeous. It has so much potential for how the series could be moving forward. But it's sad that we had to go through a really terrible dark time just to get to it. Now, to close off, I actually didn't get around to all of my notes because I ended up kind of thinking them on the spot like I usually do. But I just want to quickly clarify why I think Amiibo Festival is the worst Nintendo game ever. So, a lot of people define worse in a lot of different ways. It could be that the game controls poorly, has a lot of technical limitations, is buggy galore, something. But a different kind of worse could also mean for its franchise, or more so the fact that it has nothing redeeming. That's the case with New Horizons. Now, there are other Nintendo games that I might have had more hatred addressed toward them. Like the original Donkey Kong is a real pain to control. I didn't really like replaying The Legend of Zelda a whole lot, but at least those games were groundbreaking for their time, and they added a lot to the future of gaming. Amiibo Festival, on the other hand, was released on a console that was powerful enough to host Breath of the Wild, a massive open world adventure. It also had classics such as The Wonderful 101. Some people say Super Mario 3D World is a masterpiece of a game, and while I don't personally agree with that, it certainly looks like a masterpiece in comparison to Amiibo Festival. Basically, even Nintendo's worst games had something, anything that someone could latch onto. There are people that, of course, say that Federation Force was a disgrace to Metroid, but on the other hand, I've heard other people say it's a decently playable shooter if you're not looking for the Metroid connection. Amiibo Festival has literally nothing redeeming about it. If you wanted a good board game simulator, there's others that aren't even published by Nintendo that are way better than that. And if you do want something Nintendo published, you've got Mario Party. Overall, you can't say anything good about New Horizons. You can't use the excuse it was made by an indie company with a small budget, because this was the big guys at Nintendo. These guys are loaded with dough. They had no excuse for why it had to be as poor as it was. Apart from, I don't know, maybe trying to make me look bad because we people with Asperger's syndrome are supposed to not recognize social cues. But I think even I would at least know you're supposed to make an Animal Crossing game a sim. Anyway, I've gone on long enough. If you think there's a Nintendo game that's worse than Amiibo Festival, present a game that has absolutely no reason to exist, no reason to be in its franchise, and is utterly irredeemable in nearly every way. And even if it has something good, some other game has come along and done it better. So with that, I'm done complaining. Thank you very much for listening to my agonizing time. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and don't buy Amiibo Festival. Bye.